भवानी जगत जननी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
मंगलकारिणी कारुण्यरूपिणी
मंगलकारिणी कारुण्यरूपिणी
मंगलकारिणी कारुण्यरूपिणी
मंगलकारिणी कारुण्यरूपिणी
नारायणी देवी नारायणी
नारायणी देवी नारायणी
नारायणी देवी नारायणी
नारायणी देवी नारायणी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
मंदहासिनी आनंददायिनी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
देवी भवानी जगत जननी
मंगलकारिणी कारुण्यरूपिणी
मंगलकारिणी कारुण्यरूपिणी
नारायणी देवी नारायणी
नारायणी देवी नारायणी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी
महिषासुरमर्दिनी अम्बे भवानी देवी भवानी जगत जननी
परमेश्वर श्री साई प्रभु परमेश्वर श्री साई प्रभु परमेश्वर श्री साई प्रभु परमेश्वर श्री साई प्रभु ईश्वर वंदन साई प्रभु
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering our most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our Master Sadguru Shri Madhusudan Sai. Respected elders, teachers, and all my dear brothers and sisters, Sai Ram and very good evening. The Gita is a journey that resonates with every seeker of truth, including the students of this institution. Just as Arjuna feels confused and lacks clarity at the start of chapter 1, many of us who first enter the institutions feel the same way. But as we go through the patterns of our education system, we tend to introspect and seek the guidance of the divine within and without. And just like how Krishna dispels the ignorance of Arjuna, in the same way, our institutions, with Swami's constant guidance, are helping us to realize the purpose of life and the manner in which we should conduct ourselves. In today's sessions, we learn profound wisdom contained in the 3rd chapter titled Karma Yoga. Krishna ends chapter 2 saying that knowledge alone is supreme. This makes Arjuna ponder and voices confusion. Why is Krishna urging him into action if knowledge alone would suffice? Krishna, with all his compassion, guides Arjuna not to give up actions, since actions are the medium through which one can reach perfection. All our actions are driven by gunas and should be performed as an offering or yajna without any attachment. Arjuna, at this juncture, poses another question which is pertinent to all of us. What makes one commit sin as though one is forced to do so? It is because of the twin enemies of desire and anger born out of Rajoguna. Chapter 3 concludes with the importance of controlling the senses and the means to achieve it through the 4-step process of withdrawal from sense objects and merging the senses into the mind into the intellect, and the buddhi into the highest self. We will now revise the shlokas that we have learned this morning.
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः सांख्ययोगः। श्रीभगवानुवाच प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते। दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनाः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधः स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते। तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते। क्रोधाद्भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति। रागद्वेषविमुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति। प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते। नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभावयतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्। या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः। विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति। एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति। ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे सांख्ययोगो नाम द्वितीयोऽध्यायः। श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः कर्मयोगः। अर्जुन उवाच ज्यायसि चेत् कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दन तत्किं कर्मणि घोरे मां नियोजयसि केशव। व्यामिश्रेणेव वाक्येन बुद्धिं मोहयसीव मे तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयोऽहमाप्नुयाम्। श्रीभगवानुवाच लोकेऽस्मिन् द्विविधा निष्ठा पुरा प्रोक्ता मया नघा ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानां कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्। कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारः स उच्यते। नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं कर्म ज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः शरीरयात्रापि च ते न प्रसिद्ध्येद कर्मणः। यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर। देवान् भावयतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेयः परमवाप्स्यथा। इष्टान् भोगान् हि वो देवा दास्यन्ते यज्ञभाविताः तैर्दत्तानप्रदायैभ्यो यो भुङ्क्तेस्तेन एव सः। अन्नाद्भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यो यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः। कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्मा नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्। यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते। तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पूरुषः। कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि। यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत्प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते। न मे पार्थास्ति कर्तव्यं त्रिषु लोकेषु किञ्चन नानवाप्तमवाप्तव्यं वर्त एव च कर्मणि। यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मण्यतन्द्रितः मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः। न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्। प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते। मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यस्याध्यात्मचेतसा निराशीर्निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगतज्वरः ये मे मतमिदन्नित्यम् अनुतिष्ठन्ति मानवाः श्रद्धावन्तो न सूयन्तो मुच्यन्ते तेऽपि कर्मभिः श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावहः अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापञ्चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः श्रीभगवानुवाच काम एष क्रोध एष रजोगुणसमुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्येनमिह वैरिणम् धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम् आवृतं ज्ञानमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरेणानलेन च इन्द्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिः अस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते एतैर्विमोहयत्येषा ज्ञानमावृत्य देहिनम् तस्मात् त्वमिन्द्रियाण्यादौ नियम्य भरतर्षभा पाप्मानं प्रजहिह्येनं ज्ञानविज्ञाननाशनम् इन्द्रियाणि पराण्याहुः इन्द्रियेभ्यः परं मनः मनसस्तु परा बुद्धिः यो बुद्धेः परतस्तु सः एवं बुद्धेः परं बुद्ध्वा संस्तभ्यात्मानमात्मना जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो कामरूपं दुरासदम् ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे कर्मयोगो नाम तृतीयोऽध्यायः श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
May we now invite Sri B.N. Narasimhamurthy, Revered Chancellor, to address all of us.
Sadguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, brothers and sisters, very dear students, boys and girls. The profundity of Bhagavad Gita is heightened by the fundamental questions on life, death, and human behavior that Arjuna asks, and very practical answers given by Lord Krishna. On the other hand, there are about 20 assurances, divine assurances given by Lord Krishna to whole of humanity. Each of them is a fountain of hope and courage for everyone. Arjuna has raised 15 fundamental questions, out of which Kirtana pointed out one just now. Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya bhaladiva niyojitaha. This is a question which has come up, which is coming up, and which will be coming up in the mind of every human being at least once. It is not exactly once, actually many times we get this question. Every human being will definitely get this question. Because many times we decide this is the way we are going to conduct ourselves in our life in particular situations. This is the way I am not going to conduct myself. Many times we resolve. But it so happens that is the human predicament, and there is nothing strange about it, and there is nothing to feel very diffident about it. There is nothing to feel very sad about it. See, nature of water is to flow. That is nature. Human mind is naturally fickle. The question here is, though I resolve not to do certain things in certain situations in my life again and again, as if forced by an external agency, I commit the same mistakes again and again. Why? Similarly, many times I have decided, in spite of temptation, in spite of provocation, this is how I am going to conduct myself when that happens again. But I fail to do so every time. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I am not able to do it. Therefore, the question is, naturally, what is that thing, like an external force, which propels me to commit wrong acts, which you call papa here, means sin. Krishna not only answers what is the reason, he also gives a way how to really get out of this weakness of the human predicament. He says, Indriyani paranyahu, that is, among all the organs in the body, Indriyas, the 5 senses, or the 10 senses, are most powerful. Indriyebhya param manaha. Above that is the mind. And above mind is intellect or intelligence, buddhi. Above buddhi is the Atma. He analyzes the human personality and gives the 5 levels. The highest is the Atma, or you call it God. Therefore, one and the only way you can avoid committing sins is by controlling your mind and senses. How to control the senses? One and the only way. See, this is the only way. There is no other way. Unless you are able to have some kind of communion with the Atma, establish some kind of contact with God who is in your heart, and experience the joy of God, there is no way you will be able to control the senses. It's like this. Why do senses go always outward and want to enjoy the pleasures of the world? Why does mind provoke the senses to do it? That is the question. Naturally, the mind is always in search of happiness. Because of our previous lives' samskaras, we have derived some pleasure in these pleasures of the senses in the world. Therefore, again and again, the samskara, the tendencies, drive us, that is the instinct, to go towards the pleasures of the senses. Therefore, one and the only way is the mind should get convinced that there is a higher joy, there is a higher happiness, there is a higher pleasure within. That is of the Atma. But just by talking about it, mind is not going to get not going to get convinced. You have to experience it. How do our students start? Young boys and girls, how do they start? How can they experience the inner joy? We do experience it. When we have darshan of Sadguru, when we have true faith and devotion, immediately peace and joy descend in our heart. When you cultivate true devotion to God, when you experience that emotion of devotion in depth, you feel that joy. For people who are advanced in spirituality, when you just think that when you separate yourself and look at the mind and senses as a witness, it is possible to do it. Once you practice, it is possible to do it. You look at this person as a third person. So this is how this person behaves in these situations. This is the kind of thoughts, feelings that come to the mind of this person. This is how he is going to conduct himself. You look at it, you become a witness. That is, you become the Atma and become a witness to the activities of the mind and the senses. Then also you experience joy. But the basic way is, see, when you have wonderful opportunity to listen and chant bhajans every day, and our bhajan boys are so wonderful, so much devotion they sing, so much bhava they sing. And if you can experience that feeling, see what happens, we come and sit here, I am talking about boys and girls. At the same time, when bhajans are going on, our mind is elsewhere. Maybe we are chanting the bhajans, but mind goes, what happened this morning? Why the teacher scolded me? Today something was very good. Whatever they gave for snacks was. See, that is what happens with our mind. Rather than that, try to focus the mind on the bhajan itself. Music has such wonderful power to lift up. That is why it was Beethoven who said that music is the mediator between material and spiritual life. Music, any kind of music can give you that kind of joy. Once mind experiences that joy, mind will know that that joy is perennial, permanent. It is within myself. I need not go after someone. I need not have to go after something in the world to experience happiness. Therefore, convincing the mind through experience, there is a higher joy within which comes when you pursue the path of God, the path of the Atma. It's practical. It's absolutely practical. This has been explained by Sadguru, and it has been very beautifully captured in the book, in the first volume of the Bhagavad Gita. So it is so very practical. Such another 14 questions are there, which we are going to later encounter and find out answers. But what is most important with Bhagavad Gita is, each of them is practical.
And from there, Sri Krishna moves to Karma Yoga, which is the yoga of action. You might have noticed that in every chart of surrender and devotion, but mostly because of helplessness. And that helplessness of Arjuna also helped him to connect with Krishna, and then through Krishna to the highest truth. So in a way, our difficulties, our sorrows, our setbacks and our failures in our lives are also a yoga which push us towards God and learn greater things and rise above the dualities of losses and gains, pleasures and pains, so that we stay steady and equanimous. And that is the message of the second chapter of Sankhya Yoga. What use is all that knowledge that you are chapter of Sankhya Yoga? What use is all that knowledge that you are Atman and you are not the body and you don't die and you are never born? All those things put together, the only reason why we should know all this is to behave correctly in this world. Because once we are dead, who knows? But till we are alive, we have to interact with people, we have to interact correctly and do the right things. And that is the idea of all the now chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Every chapter will teach you how to do things right in this world. And Sankhya Yoga teaches about being equanimous. That is the most important shloka of Sankhya Yoga, which appeals to me. Different people, according to their level of understanding, their interests, their curiosity, will like different shlokas. To me, the essence of Bhagavad Gita is to become equanimous even while you perform your duties and whatever be the outcomes. Which Sthita Prajna is the name of the equanimous person. Sthita Prajna. Prajna means consciousness. Sthita means steady. His consciousness never moves, he stays steady. In the sense, it's not affected by the happenings around. So that kind of state of existence, the one who attains, is called Sthita Prajna. That is the highest state of human existence that one can achieve. Like the president came, that is the highest constitutional position that one can achieve in the country, in India. Likewise, the highest state of human existence one can ever achieve is not being the president also, even beyond president, which is to attain the steady state of Sthita Prajna. Come what may, our consciousness does not shake. Our experience within of that peace and equanimity does not shake, even if the world goes around and all the ups and downs that we face in life. This is the message of Bhagavad Gita, how to attain that equanimity. Of course, by knowing the truth of who you are, then you attain equanimity. And how is the equanimous person? Arjuna questions, and all the answers have been given. That is always satisfied within himself or herself. So even if everything goes wrong, deep down they are convinced that everything is for our good, and I as Atman, I as the divinity is not affected by the changes outside, both the pleasurable as well as the painful. And they stay steady. They don't get excited in happy tidings, and then they don't get depressed when things are not in their favor. They remain steady. How to attain that steady state is something that it should be our effort, our goal, by reading Bhagavad Gita. However, it is nice if you can attain this steady state for a moment or two or some time when there is nobody around to disturb you. Many people come to the ashram. They come from the cities like Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi or places like that, where there is so much of unsteadiness, there is so much of chaos. And when they come here, suddenly everything feels so peaceful. And they immediately feel, I am feeling so happy and it is beautiful, it is blissful. But this is only as long as you are in this place. And then you step out and you go back to the same old things, and then again you get affected by everything that goes around you. This is what Narasimha Murthy is saying. For a moment or two, I can control my senses and mind, all my desires and all my other ideas, and remain steady. I feel very peaceful. But that doesn't last forever. It lasts for a few moments. In those moments, we feel very blissful. But then again, we revert back to our old ways. And that is why gunas are to be understood. We are all born with certain gunas. And that is what Krishna explains in Karma Yoga. You have gunas in you, which are your intrinsic qualities that you have brought in with you from your previous lifetimes. Now, this idea of Punarjanma is the core or the central idea of Sanatana Dharma. For the children's sake, I am explaining that most of the world religions, especially the Abrahamic religions, they do not believe, many of them do not believe in reincarnation. So you only believe this one life that you have got is all that you have got. You happen to be born as a man or a woman, or a rich or a poor man, able or handicapped. Whatever be the situation, this is one and the only chance that you have. Somehow you have been born this way. And this is how most of the people who follow other religions and thoughts, they do not believe in the idea of reincarnation, so they do not understand why we behave in a certain way, why each of us behaves differently. But Krishna explains this, and this has to be understood by everyone. This is the core of Sanatana Dharma, that we are all born again and again. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. We are born again and again. So this is not the first time you have arrived on earth. This is not the first time you are experiencing all the joys and sorrows, happinesses and failures and successes. We have experienced this many times before. But then we forget it. Every time we are born, this memory of our previous lives is lost to us. And after that, we again engage in the world as if we have come here for the first time. I had Ravi Pillai sitting here. I had gone to his home and he had put a fish pond for me. I like fish and the pond and the water. And I like watching these fishes, A pond is only so big, but that fish starts from that corner, that nice colorful koi fish, and it goes to that corner and returns and again goes back to that corner, again turns and goes back to this corner. It does this whole day. And I thought, how is it that it cannot get bored with the same pond, the same place, the same stones, and the same other fishes inside? Because they keep forgetting every now and then. They have very short-term memory. So they go to this corner, they think, oh, I come to the new place. And then they turn and go to the other side. They've forgotten by the time that they had been here before, just a few minutes before. And they think they've reached a new place again. And they keep getting excited again and again and again. So also I saw in our Swami home in Singapore, dementia patients are there. They're excited all the time because they forget that they even had their breakfast. They forget what they did just now, and they do it all over again with the great enthusiasm. So this forgetfulness, which has been embedded in our whatever the structure as humans, is the reason why we forget what happened in the previous lives. But one thing, the imprint of our previous life is shown in our behavior today. So some children are born very calm. They are, whatever you say, they are all generally calm. Some people are hyperactive. You cannot control them. In your class, you can see the variety. And you'll see some people are so truthful. Whatever happens, even at any cost, they'll speak truth only. Some people are blatant liars. They lie through their teeth. It is a habit. Some people are kleptomaniacs. They steal things without their knowledge. They go and somehow pocket it. I have seen all these in hostels, so I am mentioning. And some people are so honest. Even if it comes to them, they don't want even a gift from anybody. They say, no, I will not accept anything from anyone. It doesn't belong to me. Some people are very hardworking. They wake up early. They work hard throughout the day. Some people are supremely lazy. Even on the examination night, they're not interested in studying. So what if we fail? Some people are so kind and generous. Whatever they have, they share with everybody. Some people are so greedy and so, selfish, that they lock everything in their cupboards and boxes. You see, some people are so clean, even an iota of dust they cannot tolerate. Some people are so dirty, they don't wash their bed sheets for weeks. I have seen it all. Now, why do different people behave this way differently? One, of course, their upbringing, they have come from certain families who have taught them certain things. But before that, even when they were born, they were having certain behavior patterns. And this behavior pattern was because of their previous lives where they lived in a certain way. Buddha's tales are there, Jataka tales, where Buddha meditates and goes through previous lives and sees what all he had done. He was a bird and a fish and a crane and a lion and so many things, and also a beggar and a rich man and a king and a pauper, everything. And finally he has come to this present life of Buddha. And that's when he realizes that I have lived this life so many times. I have been excited like that fish every time, trying to do the same things and never get bored. And therefore I want to do it over and over again. But then after his meditation and his contemplation, he comes to the conclusion that this is not the truth. Goes on every now and then. I must realize the truth and go beyond these sorrows and pains which I've experienced any number of times. With that idea, he wants to attain moksha, and that's how he goes into his pursuit for the truth and realizes the truth at the end. He calls it nirvana, means conclusion or closure of all the things. That is nirvana. There's nothing more to be done. That is nirvana. Moksha, mukti, all these are various other synonyms. So those religions which were born out of Sanatana Dharma like Buddhism, Jainism and things like that, they believe in reincarnation, but most of the other world religions do not believe in reincarnation. So for them to accept Bhagavad Gita is a challenge. They'll have to relearn the basics of religion and things like that, and that's where it's very difficult. One man met me, he was a Jew, and Jewish people do not believe in reincarnation. So when he met, he told me, Swamiji, I feel I have come to this place before. I can smell the feel of this place. It feels familiar. But I have never been to India before, but all these feel so familiar, the color, the smells, the taste, everything. I said, yes, because you have come here in previous lives. His jaw dropped. Previous lives? I said, yes. He said, okay, since I am your disciple, I understand, but please don't tell this to my wife. Because she wouldn't believe. So there are so many other religions who do not believe in reincarnation. That's why Bhagavad Gita's certain ideas will be very difficult for them to accept. Nevertheless, that is the truth. Once Kanchi Paramacharya asked a journalist who had come from Western countries, some Western country, and was arguing about this idea of reincarnation. He says, how do we know we were there before? What is the guarantee? Where is the proof? So Kanchi Paramacharya, being the wise person that he is, he won't debate and argue. He gave him an exercise. He told, go around whole of Kanchipuram to all the nursing homes and find out how many babies were born yesterday. And write down about each of the baby as to what kind of conditions they were born in. They were healthy or they were sick, they were born to rich parents or poor parents, and all that details. He said, that's not a big deal, I will come back tomorrow. So he went around and collected the data of around 20 babies or so and came back. And then Kanchipuram Swamiji asked him, tell me, your God, you say, is impartial. He loves everyone. He does not do injustice to anybody. Then why is it that some babies are born sick, some babies are born healthy, some of them are born to poor parents, some of them are born to rich parents, some of them are born in a certain conditions in certain nursing homes, some of them are just born at home or whatever, they didn't have the right facilities. So why would God be doing this to people if He loves everybody? Why is somebody born handicapped, blind, deaf? The journalist had no answers. There are no answers for this. There is no scientific answer. You cannot say it is natural selection, it is Darwin's theory and all kinds of stuff. You may say that, but can you prove it that this is the reason why this particular child in this particular town, in this particular house was to be born this way? You call, no, it's parents' genetics. Go back to parents' genetics. Why their parents were born like that? No, there was a mutation at some point in time. No, you go on digging, but you will never find the right answer for it. So our spirituality tells that because we have lived here before. And we were born earlier in certain body and then we died, and our mind never dies. Mind with all its habits, vasanas and ideas, it carries on to the next birth. So when you are born in a next body, we continue the same habits. And that is how children, are different in different places. You see them behaving differently. Now, there is a lot I can explain about Punarjanma, but the most important part I want to tell you that unless you believe and understand Punarjanma, you cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. You cannot experience or you cannot appreciate the ideas of Bhagavad Gita. So, the Punarjanma is the core to the thing. And karma is the second principle. Why Punarjanma happens, why we are born again? Because of certain actions. Those actions which we have undertaken in a certain lifetime, there are reactions of it. Some reactions happen immediately. Like, just try to slap the fellow next to you, you will get an immediate reaction. He will slap you harder. But you sow a seed in the soil today, you will get the tree after a certain number of months or years. So every action has a certain sequence and timelines within which it fructifies. So certain actions have immediate results, sometimes it takes time. So certain actions get carried forward to the next birth, and then you suffer the consequences of all that in the next birth, or you enjoy whatever. So these are the ideas of Sanatana Dharma, which is core to the idea of reincarnation and karma siddhanta. If you don't understand these two principles and don't believe in it, you cannot understand Sanatana Dharma, you cannot understand Bhagavad Gita, you cannot appreciate any of these truths being told by Sri Krishna. You will limit your appreciation of Bhagavad Gita to very few concepts if you want to use. So these are the two basic things. And now knowing this truth that I have been here before, I have tried, I have cried, I have craved and struggled and to enjoy this life, to have a family, children, raise them, have wealth, name, position, successes and failures. I have gone through this any number of times. And again I am getting into the same thing. This is what the Rishi in Maitreya Upanishad says. He is getting born again in a womb. And now somehow the consciousness has come to the Rishi in the womb. Oh, I am again caught up in this prison of the womb. How am I to escape from there? And that is like a phoenix, he rises from the womb or whatever and releases himself. It's a symbolic way of saying that he realizes that he is getting caught again. So there are many stories, Jada Bharata stories there. For your own interest, you can read that. The idea is that these two principles of karma and punarjanma are core to Sanatana Dharma. You must believe in this to believe in Bhagavad Gita and its principles. So now one part is, we know why we are born again, all those things because of karma. We undertake an action, we didn't finish the action, we didn't finish enjoying the results, we come back again to enjoy the results. Some people are born in a rich family, they would have done some punyam. Some people are born in difficult situations. Maybe some papa has happened in the last birth, and that's how we go on experiencing it in the birth after birth. Now one may ask then, what I have done in the past, I have no control over it. Why should I suffer for it today? Why I should have suffered it from then when it happened? Why should I suffer for it today? So it's like you are in a class, right? You study 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 standards. Now whatever you know in 5th standard is a cumulative knowledge of all the 4 standards, 1, 2, 3, 4. You suddenly didn't learn everything new in 5th standard. You learned about numericals, then you learned addition, subtraction, then you learned multiplication, division, then you learned factors and things like that. So your knowledge kept on increasing, but it was built on the previous class knowledge. Suppose you had not studied multiplication properly in your previous class. When teacher was teaching, you were in the state of samadhi. Not that samadhi. You had a nice chitrannam in the morning, and the first class was maths class, then what happens we know. So you never learned multiplication and divisions, and now you are learning factorials. There is no way you can understand what is going on in the class, because you never studied hard that time, and therefore you cannot learn the new concepts. So whatever you have done in your previous lives affects your present life too. You may say, my mistake, my bad, I did not study mathematics properly, I did not study multiplication properly, I skipped, I was sick, I was not there in the class, whatever happened, teacher didn't teach, so many things. What can I do about it? Why should I be punished in this class that I am not able to understand factorial or whatever? You cannot say like that, right? You have to rather take the attitude that whatever happened in my past life or past classes, I didn't study, now I have the time, let me put extra efforts to cover up for all that I have not learnt and make it up for losses, and now come to the same level as everybody else in the class. Is that all in your control or not? Can you control what happened when you were in the previous class? No, it's over. So only thing that is there in your hand is to act in the present. Past you cannot wipe away, you cannot wish it away, it will not go. It will have effect on its present. So this present is all that you have in your control, which you can make better by doing the right things now. Instead of questioning, why should I be punished, why I slept, why teacher was not good enough to, all that questions you can ask. But asking those questions is not going to solve your problems today. It's a wasteful debate and discussion, so don't get into that. Rather ask, okay, whatever was the condition last birth or last class or whichever previous day, what can I do about it today? What lessons can I learn from there? And how can I make my present better? That's how Karma Yoga comes into picture. You have to undertake actions in this birth also. You cannot escape action. Even if you say, I'm retired, I'm doing nothing, no, you are still undertaking action, because every thought that passes through your mind, good, bad, all this has consequences. Action is not only at the physical level, it's also at the mental level, the thinking, the feeling, the speaking, and the acting. All are actions only at the end. So everything that you do is an action, and so every action has a reaction. That is a natural law. Physics also says, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Similarly, metaphysical law of karma also say, any action that you undertake in this world, you have to face the consequences. So do right action so that your consequences are also nice and good, tolerable and pleasant, not terrible that you have to suffer. And suppose for whatever reason you could not finish the consequences this birth, you will end up in the next birth doing this, reaping the results of it. You cannot escape the results. No action can be destroyed just like that. So that's why Karma Yoga becomes a very core idea and philosophy for all those who are there in this world engaged in action. So Karma Yoga is the 3rd chapter, and that's where Krishna says, but Krishna sets a very high standard. He says, how should you act in this world? Act selflessly. This is what Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha is the word used. For the sake of welfare of all, you act in this world. Not for your personal benefits and personal gains, personal ambitions and likes and dislikes. Act for the welfare of all. Sarva loka hite rataha. Gurukulam's 4 things are there. Sarva veda vidaha dhiraha, sarve jnanopa sampannaha, sarve samudita gunaihi. For what sake? Sarva loka hite rataha. Learn everything that you need to learn. Do everything that you need to do. But at the end, the result or the reason for it should be betterment of everybody, selfless service to all. See how clear the vision of the institution is and how much it matches with the concept of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna gives his own example. This is the first time Krishna is not somebody who praises himself, but he himself says, to give you an example, here I am. Name partasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varta evacha karmani. I have no duty whatsoever in 3 worlds. Nobody can tell Krishna, you have to help in the war. Krishna, you have to run the kingdom. He is doing that for the sake of everyone. This is a very important shloka of Karma Yoga. Why should you act in the world? Not because you have a duty to do. Yes, if you have a duty to perform, you are a teacher, a doctor, a householder, a brahmachari, a sannyasi. Everybody has their duties. You must discharge those duties well. But for what sake? Not to earn money, make a big name, fame and position and power, enjoy pleasures of life or avoid pain. No, none of these. These may happen in the process, but your main focus is how can I selflessly help everyone? If you get that right, no karma will come and touch you. Because the moment you accumulate karma, you have to enjoy karma phala, the results of the action. But the only way you can avoid the results of the action is when the action is selfless. So this idea of karma yoga, Krishna is teaching Arjuna. Because Arjuna is confused. You're saying on one side, become sthita prajna, equanimous, don't remain like the tortoise with all the limbs withdrawn, do not engage with the world and do not get affected by the vicissitudes of the world. But then you say also fight the war and things like that. What am I supposed to do? Which is better? He says you have to act in the world, but act in a way which is selfless, so that you are not affected by it. You can still be sthita prajna. While acting also you can be steady. You can be sthita prajna. So this is the idea of karma yoga. Anyway, a lot of things have been explained to you and you know many of these things. And another very important shloka, why I explained about the Atma and reincarnation is because without that we cannot appreciate Bhagavad Gita's teachings. It's not possible. If somebody says that no, I will still believe in no incarnations and yet I will understand Bhagavad Gita, not possible. It's like I don't want to learn ABCD but I want to speak English. Not possible. You have to learn. These are basics. So these two basic fundamentals. So people will argue with you tomorrow. Oh, Bhagavad Gita says reincarnation. There is no reincarnation. YOLO generation, I tell you. You only live once generation. It won't believe. You go out and somebody will argue with you. That time you have to explain the way I have explained to them. And don't feel shy and lose confidence in Bhagavad Gita itself. So don't do that. We have to learn all these things, basic ones. Another important shloka is that Indriyani paranyahu, Indriye paramanaha, manasastu parabuddhi, yo buddhe paratastu saha. Beyond our senses, which are external and internal senses, there is this mind which controls this body. Body is just the puppet. Body does no harm. It's like the car. Car by itself doesn't go and make accidents. There is somebody behind the car which is driving it. That is the one responsible for all the accidents. So you have the driver in the car. That is the mind. Like, you think like that. If your senses are there like a car, then there is somebody who controls the car, which is the mind. But somebody controls the driver also. What his own understanding, discrimination, learning controls. How to drive, not to drive. If he's a learned driver, he will do well. If he's not a good driver who is not learned, which is not good buddhi, he will make mistakes and cause accidents. But beyond this the car, the driver and his learning experience or driving experience, there sits a master of the car. Who is not driving the car, who is not the car, but who is the owner of the car. For his sake only the car is going wherever it is going. That master is the Atma. That is the Indriya, Mana, Buddhi and then Atma, it says. So Atma is the concept that again is unique to again Sanatana Dharma. Nobody else talks about Atma as vividly as Sanatana Dharma does. When you ask how do you reincarnate again, this Atma, that is the passenger and the driver together go and take up a new car. Car changes. Bodies change, but the mind, the passenger and the driver continue to be together. So it's important if the passenger wants to have a happy life, he needs to have a good driver too. And the good driver is the mind with all its habits, vasanas, instincts. Suppose this was the bad driver. Even if you change the car, is he going to drive any better? No, because his driving habits are same. So he's going to do the same thing with the new car also unless you train this driver to drive better. And that training is all this education. Apara and Paravidya. Last year, last birth you did this, now this birth, my mind with all its senses, please work better, please work hard. Whose responsibility? Passenger's responsibility. Atma should guide the driver. Buddhi, Manas, all the Indriyas should be under the control of Atman. That's what he's saying at the last shloka. With your Atman, with the self, control everything else. This is the basic fundamental of how to perform actions. Your Atma should be deciding everything. Atma means that state of equanimity from where you think of the welfare of all. From that point of view, do everything in the world. Buddhi should decide to do actions. Mind should instruct the senses to perform actions. Only those which are for the welfare of all. There is no selfishness in it. As long as there is selfishness, you are going to be bound by karma and karma phala. You will be born again and again. Nobody can save you from that, not even God. You will have to undergo the consequences. Like you are the favorite of the principal, yet principal will not save you if you have not studied your multiplication properly. He cannot give you extra marks just because you are the favorite. So don't think you somehow landed in this ashram, somehow you are favorite of Swami, somehow you are the devotee of Swami and all stories, so you will get moksha. No guarantee. I am saying it directly to you. There's no guarantee that you'll get moksha just because you landed here. What you do here is what is going to decide whether you get moksha or you don't get moksha. Coming here is the first step. Good thing. Satsanga has happened to you. You have come under the tutelage of a guru. Half of your problem is solved. Now just do the right things unselfishly. Follow the path as has been shown. Then you can get moksha. You see, it's very important. Just going through the class does not ensure you will pass. Going to the class and studying well ensures that you will pass. So just don't take this opportunity for granted that I have come here, everything will happen. No. You have to put the efforts, and these are the efforts that Krishna is teaching. Selflessly work for the welfare of all. Controlling your senses, mind, and buddhi, which is only selfish and thinks only of itself. Go with the level of Atma, not that consciousness within, which is the seat of divinity. How will you know? It is divinity which is guiding. Whatever divinity does is good for all. Divinity only thinks in selfless way. Human mind thinks in selfish ways. So anything that you do selfishly, know that it is not divinity. It's guidance of the buddhi and manas only, not the Atman. Whenever you think selflessly, even for your own family you do something, for your own children or your own class or your own office, if you're doing it selflessly, you know that there is no buddhi or the mind selfishness involved in it. So this is the only way, selfless or selfish. This is the only distinction between you're operating from the Atman or you're operating from the buddhi and mind. That's all is the difference. So every selfless act is godly act. You can ask me questions if there are any.
Swami, is perfection in action truly attainable? Do the simple things become complex when we try to attain perfection?
I think first we should understand what is perfection in action. Yogah karmasu kaushalam. At the worldly level, doing the things as they are supposed to do in the right way is perfection. Singing a bhajan for that matter. Sing the bhajan correctly with raga, tala, bhava. So if they sing on wrong note but they have very good feelings for God, it's not going to be the perfect song. If they are very good at singing and with perfect talam and notes and shruti, but they have no feelings in the bhajans, that bhajan is also not going to be perfect. So doing things as they are supposed to be done correctly, that is perfection. It is not complicated at all. Now, can a bhajan boy come and tell me, Swami, you are expecting me to sing every note correctly. It is too much of complication. Allow me to sing a few notes badly. There is nothing. Perfection is the basic way of life. Perfection is not something that has to be attained. It should be the way of life for everybody. Anything we do, somebody is cooking, they should cook correctly. Somebody is singing, they should sing correctly. Somebody is cleaning, they should clean correctly. Now, what is complicated about it, I don't understand. Complicated is not there. Effort is there. Effort is there. To attain perfection, there is effort required. But effort is not complication. So complication is the wrong word. Effort is the right word. So much effort is required to make things perfect. Yes, that is how it is. Karma bhumi, karma, effort are required to make anything the best. So perfection is the way of life. It should be the way of life. And you know what is the perfect action? I say it's not the thought behind. It's not the action per se, but the thought behind the action makes it perfect. Every selfless action is a perfect action according to me. To me, perfection is equal to selflessness. So yoga karmasu kaushalam does not mean singing the bhajan perfectly in shruti, laya, tala, bhava, but selflessly for the sake of making everybody happy and devoted, not for the sake of presenting one's musical talent, but for the sake of raising the consciousness of all in the bhajan hall, where everybody feels connected to the divine. With that, bhajan becomes a seva, and that is perfect bhajan. So perfect bhajan, while raga, bhava, tala is required, but to me, perfection is still not happening unless that singer is singing with the only intention to please God and to help everybody feel the devotion, with no agenda for personal recognition or some kind of appreciation. So that is perfection, and there is nothing complicated about it. Is there anything complicated about it? No. It's effort. Effort you have to put to make anything better. That's the effort. Effort part is required, and that is why karma yoga is needed to do everything correctly. Yoga, karmasu, kaushalam. All actions done with great effort, with great selflessness in them are perfect actions. So that is the idea of perfection. Otherwise, you see a boy in the darshan will give me one sketch of a house and a tree and a river. It is not perfect from an artist's point of view. Artist will say, no, he's chosen wrong shapes, colors, shades. It's not correct. But for that child, it is perfect because for his level, he has put his all effort. This is all he understands about the house. When he grows up to become a real artist after 25 years, then his idea of perfection will change. So perfection is really not complication. It is the effort that you put in, best of your efforts that you put in to improve that, and then reach a selfless state of being. Selflessness should be there in your action. But at the same time, you cannot say, I am selfless, but I do not know how to sing bhajans. Even then, it is not possible to be perfect. So it comes both ways. Whatever action we are doing it to the best of our abilities, doing it the right way. And if you don't know the right way, learn it from others. That's why Guru is needed. Learn it from them and then do it the right way. And then make sure that that action is only being done for selfless sake. That is perfection.
Lord Krishna declares that forgiveness is a godly quality when you are on the path of liberation. How do we forgive people who are always doing bad to the society or the individuals?
Again, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is to not punish. Is forgiveness not to reprimand? Is forgiveness not to correct somebody? Or is forgiveness not to hold any grudges and ill feelings? Which is forgiveness? Even after punishing people, we still hold feelings, bad feelings and ill feelings about them, right? So we haven't forgiven them. Forgiveness is a quality of the mind, our heart, an internal quality. External forgiveness is very easy. But actual forgiveness happens in the heart. You have, from the bottom of your heart, you have totally removed all feelings, ill feelings or bad feelings for the other person. That's the real forgiveness. So you can punish. For example, children do mistakes. And I punish them. There is a punishment for everything. Karma prabhava. You do not do right things, you need to undertake punishment. In fact, in our hostels, we have made a rule called Swanushasanam. There is a chart of punishments against every misdeed. You come late to the class, 5 rounds of the ground. You come late to the dining hall, something else. Like that. And children have personally sat and designed this, that how much punishment is good for what kind of mistakes. Like Indian Penal Code. Gurukulam Penal Code is there. And they decide and nobody tells them. They know what mistake they have done, they go, they know the chart, they know the code, they go and do it themselves. So self-punishment is also there. But in this punishment, is there forgiveness or is there no forgiveness is the question. Is the teacher holding grudge against that child, judgments against this child, and because of which his vision or his understanding of this child or his love for the child gets affected, then you have not forgiven. So forgiveness is a very internal quality. External punishments or rewards are important to discipline people, to make them behave in a certain way. It is important. If you say that, no, we should forgive everybody, so people drive on the wrong side of the road, you should forgive them, then there will be chaos in the society. That is why Krishna says, no, dando damyatam asmi or something like that, that I am the punishment only of all the ways of disciplining people and controlling the chaos. I am punishment only. If nothing works, punishment only works. So, but punishment not given with the idea of any personal grudge or personal agenda is done as a part of your dharma. A judge also punishes, but does not have to carry grudges against the person. So the idea of punishment is, or forgiveness is very internal. Love only should guide all our thoughts. Even if we are punishing or reprimanding or correcting people, deep in our hearts we should do it only for the sarvaloka hiterataha, for the benefit of all. If I do not contain a criminal, put him inside the jail because he was drawn by his guna and does wrong things, how am I going to save the society? Putting him in a jail looks like a punishment, but it is also, could also be forgiveness. Why? Because you have allowed that person not to commit any more sins. You have constrained or restrained the person. In a way, you are trying to help. So, hoping that your heart should feel the love only, or heart should be guided by the thought whether whatever I am going to do, is it for everyone's good. Even if it means some inconvenience to some people, even then it is forgiveness.
Swami, sometimes getting rid of our personal ideas and entitlements may lead to low esteem, low self-esteem and low self-confidence, which in turn affects the attitude and quality of actions. Is it okay to maintain a healthy ego before taking up actions?
Ego is never healthy. Only healthy ego I know of is the spiritual I, which is soham. And that's not called ego, that's called the self. Ego is a thing only of, it is not a healthy thing at all. In some way or the other, it affects us negatively only. What do you mean by ego and self-respect? There are two things, right? The problem with the question is that they're asking, will I lose self-respect if I just keep submitting myself, agreeing to everything, and not even demanding or asking for what I deserve? A teacher comes to the class, he is not even provided with a table and a chair. The teacher says, I need this basic to do my job. But if we do not provide, should the teacher demand or not? Or should he humbly say, it's okay, I will stand the whole day and whole year and teach you? No, there is a rule. Every teacher should be provided with a table and a chair. And that is his right. That is not ego. If he asks, no, I want a better table than the next teacher, I want a bigger table than the next teacher, I want a simhasana and not a chair, because I am such a good teacher and best of the teacher in the whole of Chikbalapur, then it is ego. But basics are, everybody is allowed. Some basics according to the role. Now President of India came. She's entitled to come in helicopters. She's entitled to come in whatever. In the name of austerity and kindness, and she says, no, I'll come by car only from Delhi. It's not going to work. For her position, her whatever the role that government has given, certain things are required. The Khalil Gibran says, you limping in front of a lame is not compassion. To show that I am also limping, you are also limping. No, that is wrong. Instead, you walk and help the person who is handicapped to walk better. So, what you said is self-respect. We have to ask about self-respect. Self-respect is not a problem. In self-respect, there is no negative emotion. In ego, there is negative emotion. So, how will you know this is my self-respect or ego? When there is no negative emotion in it, then you know it is self-respect. When there is a negative emotion, see, you feel hurt, you feel angry, you feel upset, you feel, kind of unfair, or whatever has happened to you is unfair. All these feelings are negative feelings. If you have self-respect, you will go nicely and ask for, even if somebody has missed it, you will nicely, humbly and carefully ask them that this is required for this work to be done. I am entitled to it. Kindly, for my job to be done properly, please give me a table and a chair. Matter ends there. But if you want a bigger table and a bigger chair, then there is a problem, you see. Again, for your role and entitlement, a principal will have a cabin, a teacher may have a working station. It depends on what entitlements you have as per the rules. So that entitlement you should ask. In that they should not feel shy and feel too diffident and say, no, I am supposed to be a spiritual person, I am supposed to be a humble person, I am supposed to wear tatters only, I am supposed to eat only in limited food, and this is all unnecessary. I say this spirituality is so misunderstood. You have been given a job, you need this, what you need. So don't think like that. In fact, this also applies. When sometimes people ask me, why do you live in a certain way or go in a certain way and things like that. I said, my job demands that. I am a guru, but I am also a social worker. I am also in charge of an institution. I have to have certain things to make sure that I can do my job what is given to me efficiently. In the name of austerity, humility and things like that, I can't board a ship and go to another country just because the ticket prices are lower and take 3 months to reach another country. In the name of austerity and humility, no. Similarly, if somebody says you are a guru, you are supposed to live a very austere life, you should only walk wearing wooden sandals. That's what gurus did of the past. Am I supposed to agree to that? I'll say, no, nothing. You have no understanding of what you are talking. In the name of humility or whatever, you are actually misrepresenting the very idea of spirituality. So I tell what is required for me, I have to do. What is not required. So Janaka is the best example. That is what has come from the Shloka also. He lived like that. He lived like a king by the day and was saint in the night. He lived with all the ornaments and everything, sat on the simhasana, enjoyed all the privileges of the king as he was supposed to and used it to help the people. At the end of the day, he was a sannyasi again. Same way we should live in our lives. So then there is self-respect in what we are doing it. It's not ego, and there is nothing called healthy ego, so never develop that. Develop self-respect, respect for the position, the job that you have got. For that, whatever is required, you have every right to ask for it, but do not over-demand. That's where ego comes into picture. Or do not under-ask. That also is a negative. That also is a ego only. In some way, many people say, I am so whatever, so sweet that I don't ask, I don't demand. But that's a negative ego. There also there is ego only. This Ati Vinayam also is ego only. I keep saying, Ati Vinayam, Durta Lakshanam. Too much of humility, too much of sweet niceties, too much of sweet talk also is the indication of an ego which can abruptly, explode any time. And I have met many people like this, so I know.
On one hand, one must desire for self-realization like one's head is on fire. But at the same time, be like a yoga jivi desiring absolutely nothing. How do these two coexist?
Till you have realized and become yoga jivi, your head should be in fire only. That is the idea. Once you have realized, it doesn't matter. No? Till you realize, you have to live with that aspiration, that desire to realize. If you become so casual that, no, anyway I'm supposed to be a yoga jivi, but are you a yoga jivi right now? No. Then you do not have to subscribe to this philosophy. When you become a yoga jivi, then naturally there will not be any burning desire for attaining anything, but you have already attained that. You are that now. So what is that you need to attain? But till you have attained that state, you have to put efforts. You cannot discount that. Many people take a refuge in this fight. I'm anyway the self. I'm anyway the divine. Anyway, nothing is real. So how does it matter? No, it matters because you don't experience it. Are you experiencing it? You are that, but are you experiencing that, Then you are not capable, or you're not supposed to say this. When you experience it only, then only you should know that you have nothing more to do, and therefore there is no need to have this burning desire or whatever. But till you experience that, don't use this conveniently, saying, I'm anyway God, how does it matter? Then behave like God. Are you behaving like God? Are you feeling, thinking, acting like God? No. You have selfishness, you have desires, you have ego, you have other things. Then you're not ready. Till then, as I said, it should be like the man whose hair has caught fire and should run around to find water and find the truth. Till then, this effort should continue. Don't take it very casually. And I will end with this today because time is running out. If anybody here or anywhere thinks that 2 days of equanimity, some experiences of some kundalini and some excited state, you have attained wisdom, not true. Next day you check how are your thoughts, feelings and everything else. If they are not selfless and equanimous, you know that was just a momentary thing. Like, children jump and touch the roof. You only touch the roof, but you come back again, right? That is how these bouts of samadhi, bouts of spiritual excitements are. But unless you can stay there elevated forever in the same state of equanimity and selflessness, it is not possible for you to simply lie around and say, I don't have anything to do because I am already a yoga jivi. You are not. So don't fool yourself into thinking like this and damage your prospects here. Rather, put efforts till you feel like one that is completely selfless and equanimous. So the second chapter teaches us equanimity. Third chapter teaches us selflessness. You get my point? The two main important qualities. Equanimity in the second chapter and selflessness in the third chapter. That is the essence of these two chapters. So for today we will close because you have a schedule. I'll come tomorrow and then we will discuss more questions.
ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्तजना संरक्षक भक्तजना संरक्षक पति महेश्वरा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवरना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रितकल्पलतिका आपवान् भवा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे मातपिता गुरुदेव मर्यन्तयु नीवे स्वामी मर्यन्तयु नीवे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथा नागेन्द्राश्रयणा ॐ जय जगदीश हरे ओंकाररूपा ओजस्वी साई महादेवा सद्गुरु साई महादेवा मंगलारति अंदुको मंगलारति अंदुको मंगलगिरिधारी ॐ जय जगदीश हरे नारायण नारायण ॐ सत्य नारायण 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 ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ